My own sons dumped me here like a piece of old furniture that wasn't useful anymore, but they had no idea I'd saved up $3 million, or that I was going to give it all to a stranger who taught me what it really means to be family. Have you ever felt the bitter sting of being forgotten by the people you love most? I have. And today, at 80 years old, sitting in this room that smells like disinfectant mixed with stale coffee, I'm going to tell you how I learned that real family isn't who you're born with, it's who chooses to stay. If you like stories that hit you right in the heart and make you think about your own life, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, because stories like mine need to be heard, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let me tell you what happened to me. A story that changed everything I thought I knew about love, family, and what actually matters when you get to the end. It was a Tuesday in March when my whole world got flipped upside down. I'd forgotten a pot on the stove. Smoke filled the entire house. The next day I got lost walking back from the grocery store. My neighbor Tony had to bring me home. "Dad, you can't live alone anymore," Roger said. That's my oldest son, and he had that tone like he'd already made up his mind. "It's what's best for you, Dad. There are some really nice facilities. Just until you get back on your feet," Frank added. He's my youngest. "Nice facilities. Get back on your feet." Those words kept spinning in my head while I stared at Joan's picture on the mantel. My wife always said the boys would take care of me when I got old. She died believing that. I can still smell Joan's old leather suitcase from our trips. Ended up using that same suitcase to come here to Sunset Manor. The boys brought me on a rainy Thursday. "It's just temporary, Dad. Until we figure things out at home," Roger promised. Temporary. That's a word that can break your heart when it turns into forever. First Sunday at the nursing home, I waited by the window. Second Sunday, still waiting. Third Sunday, they showed up for maybe 20 minutes talking about work and how busy they were. Fourth Sunday, nobody came. They must have had something come up, I told myself. Months went by. I had less hope each week of seeing my boys. Fifth Sunday, sixth, seventh. By the eighth Sunday, I found out they'd disconnected the house phone. "How am I supposed to reach you guys now?" I asked Roger when I finally got through to his office. "Dad, we needed to cut expenses. If it's important, just call me here," he said, like it was no big deal. Cut expenses. My sons were always like that. Everything came down to dollars and cents. Roger used to tell his buddies, "Dad's got to have money stashed away somewhere." He'd say it when he thought I wasn't listening. Boy, if he only knew. Those $3 million came from Joan's inheritance, plus what I got for selling the hardware store, plus 15 years of rental income from 2 apartments. A lifetime of saving, working hard, skipping little luxuries because I wanted to leave something for my boys. But those Sundays kept passing. 10th, 11th, 12th. I'd hear families laughing in the hallways, see them bringing flowers and homemade cookies, and there I was, marking days off on an old calendar. 16th Sunday. 4 whole months without a single visit. That's when it hit me. This wasn't temporary at all. They'd dropped me off like you'd drop off furniture at a storage unit. Almost a year later, I'd gotten used to the quiet, but it still hurt every single day. Tell me something. Have you ever felt invisible to your own kids? It was 5:30 in the morning when I first heard her sweeping in the hallway. Such a gentle sound, almost musical. Nothing like the other staff who rushed around making noise. Grace Miller. That's how she introduced herself about a week later when we bumped into each other in the kitchen. "You're Mr. Harold from room 23, right? I never see anyone come visit you." Her voice was kind but matter-of-fact. No pity in it. I appreciated that. Can't stand when people feel sorry for me. "That's me, and you're..." "Grace, I clean here starting at 5 every morning. Afternoons I take care of my grandma. She's in room 15. "Your grandma, room 15. I started paying attention after that. Every single day she'd go sit with the old lady, brush her white hair, read her Bible verses, bring her flowers from the garden. Real love, not just going through the motions. Grace made coffee that smelled exactly like Joan's used to, strong but smooth, and something about the way she looked right at you when she talked reminded me so much of my wife. "You have children, Mr. Harold?" "2 boys, but they're busy with their own lives." She nodded and didn't push for more. Smart people don't poke at fresh wounds. Over the next few weeks, I learned her story. Grace had been widowed at 35 when her husband died in a motorcycle accident coming home from work. She'd raised 2 kids by herself, Gabriel, who's 16, and Sophie, 14. Her schedule was brutal. 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the nursing home, 2 to 6 p.m. taking care of Grandma Dorothy, 7 to 10 p.m. cleaning office buildings downtown. But somehow, she always found time around 6 o'clock to stop by and chat with me. How do you handle all this running around, Grace? Oh, Mr. Harold, when you've got people depending on you, you find the energy somehow. My kids need their education, Grandma needs her care. No time to feel sorry for yourself. Her hands were rough with calluses, just like mine used to be when I first started at the hardware store. Working hands, hands that knew what responsibility felt like. And here's what really got to me. She never complained, not once. Always had this tired but genuine smile, always asking how I was doing, if I needed anything. Mr. Harold, you're not taking your blood pressure pills, right, are you? I noticed some left over on your nightstand. How did she even notice stuff like that when she had so much on her plate? Our kitchen conversations started getting longer. Grace would tell me about her kids. I'd share stories from my hardware store days. She'd laugh at my old tales, and I found myself amazed by her strength. Grace, if you don't mind me asking, I could help your kids with homework. I did accounting for years. I'm good with numbers. Her whole face lit up. You'd really do that, Mr. Harold? Sure would. Got nothing but time on my hands here. That's how it started. During her breaks, she'd call me from the front desk phone. I'd walk Gabriel through algebra problems, help Sophie with her essays. For the first time in months, I felt like I actually mattered to someone. One evening, after helping with a history project, Grace got quiet on the phone. Mr. Harold, can I tell you something? Of course, honey. Honey. The word just came out natural. I didn't think about it, but she did. You've got such a good heart. Your sons don't know how lucky they had it. I heard her start crying softly. My husband died when the kids were little. Sometimes I wonder, will they remember their dad when they're grown? Will they want to take care of me when I'm old? They will, Grace. Kids raised with love. They remember that love. Right then, I knew she understood the emptiness I felt without Joan, and she knew I understood her fear of being forgotten someday. In my 10th month at Sunset Manor, Grandma Dorothy took a turn for the worse. Grace was beside herself. The old woman had pneumonia and was in the medical wing. Mr. Harold, I don't know what else to do. She won't take her medicine, won't eat anything. Let me help you, sweetheart. I took care of Joan when she was sick, learned a few tricks along the way. So we teamed up. I'd hold Mrs. Dorothy's hand while Grace gave her the medicine. I'd tell old stories to keep her distracted, sing songs my mother used to sing to me. The hospital smell mixed with Grace's daily flowers. That's burned into my memory forever. Because it was there, caring for Grandma Dorothy, that I finally understood something. Grace didn't take care of people because she had to. She did it because she wanted to. We spent 3 weeks taking shifts. Her during the day, me at night when they'd let me. I watched her cry from exhaustion, saw her praying quietly, saw her giving everything she had, and then some more. When Grandma Dorothy passed on a Saturday morning, Grace cried clean tears, sad but not guilty, so different from how I felt about my sons, where the sadness came mixed with anger and disappointment. She had a good life, was loved right up to the end, I told her. Thank you, Mr. Harold. You were a blessing to her, and to me too. Holding that old woman's hand, watching Grace say goodbye, that's when I finally understood the difference between duty and love, and that's when an idea started growing in my mind. I couldn't sleep for 3 nights after Dorothy's funeral, just kept staring at Joan's photo on my nightstand, thinking, Joan always wanted me to forgive the boys, to understand they had their own problems to deal with. Joan, I whispered to her picture, I think you'd understand what Grace has done for me. Golden morning light was streaming through my window when I made the biggest decision of my life, picked up the phone and dialed. Dr. Carter, it's Harold Peterson. I need to make a very important change. Dr. William Carter had been my lawyer for over 20 years. Good man who knew my whole story. Harold, are you absolutely sure about this? This is a pretty major step. Doc, I've never been more sure of anything. 2 weeks later, he showed up with a psychologist. They had to prove I was thinking clearly, especially after that confusion episode that landed me here in the first place. 2 hours of talking, tests, questions. Finally, the psychologist signed off. Harold Peterson shows full mental capacity for all financial decisions. I signed the new will on a Tuesday afternoon. $3 million. The house in Beverly Hills. Everything going to Grace Miller. The daughter I chose, I wrote in my own handwriting, but I knew I had to tell Grace first. Asked her to meet me in the garden on Thursday morning. Grace, I need to tell you something important. She sat down next to me on the bench, looking worried. Everything okay, Mr. Harold? I changed my will. Left everything to you. All the color drained from her face. She jumped up like she'd been shocked. Mr. Harold, you can't do that. I don't want your money. She practically ran away. For 2 weeks she could barely look at me. Just a quick hello and she'd keep walking. I gave her space, figured she needed time to think. One morning she came back, sat down on the same bench. Mr. Harold, I've been thinking about what you said. And? If you really trust me with this, I'll accept it. But not as some kind of windfall. As a responsibility. I want to use this money to open a daycare in the neighborhood where I grew up. Make sure Gabriel and Sophie get through college, and I'll take care of you for as long as you need me. We both cried sitting there in that garden. She got it. This wasn't about money, it was about recognition. About choosing who deserves your love. But family secrets have a way of getting out, don't they? A month after I changed the will, Dr. Carter had to follow the law and notify my previous beneficiaries about the change. That's how the boys found out. They'd always suspected I had money tucked away. Dad's got to have a nest egg somewhere, Roger used to say, but they never imagined it was this much, or that they were about to lose all of it. Less than 2 hours later, they were at Sunset Manor, angrier than I'd ever seen them. Dad, you can't do this. That woman's been manipulating you. Can't you see she's just after your money? Frank tried playing the nice guy. Look, Dad, you're coming home with us now. I've got room in my place. We'll take proper care of you. Proper care. After nearly a year of no visits, suddenly they wanted to take me home. Not because they loved me, because they wanted control. Boys, sit down. Let me explain something. I spoke calmer than I felt. You brought me here saying it was temporary. That was almost a year ago. I've had exactly 3 visits since then. You cancelled my phone to save money. You left me here like I was a piece of old furniture you didn't want anymore. Dad, we were swamped with work and... Let me finish, Roger. I held up my hand. Grace has been taking care of me all these months without knowing I had a dime. She makes my coffee the way I like it, brings me flowers, asks about my day, and actually listens to the answer. When's the last time either of you did that? Silence. You gave me life and I'm grateful, but she gave me back my reason for living. Real children are chosen, not just born. And I've made my choice. They stormed out talking about lawyers and lawsuits. Roger shouted back, "You'll regret this, Dad." Regret. You know what I regret? Waiting so long to make this decision. Today, 18 months after I came to Sunset Manor, I wake up every morning to the smell of Grace's special coffee. She cut back her other jobs. Now she just works here mornings and spends afternoons with the daycare and her kids. That money gave her choices she never had before. Gabriel got into engineering school, just turned 18 last month. Sophie wants to teach elementary school. They visit me every Sunday, tell me about their week, ask for advice about life. They're the grandkids I always wanted. Grace taught them to spend time with other residents here. She's passing along what she learned from me, that caring for older people is caring for your own future. The daycare's almost finished. It's going to be called Dorothy's Place after her grandmother. 40 kids from low-income families will get quality early education. The money I saved my whole life is finally going to do some real good. And my biological sons. Roger and Frank tried some legal tricks, but the will is rock solid. Dr. Carter did his job perfectly. Now they only call when they need something. A prescription refill, information about old documents. Funny how they only remember I exist when they want something. Where are you listening to this from? Let me know. Every evening when that golden light comes through my window, I count my blessings. I'm thankful I found my real daughter. I'm thankful I had the courage to make this choice. I'm thankful I learned it's never too late to start over. Grace brought me flowers this morning, white chrysanthemums, just like Joan used to love. She told me she dreamed about a woman with white hair who said, "Tell Harold he chose right." Maybe it was just a dream, maybe her imagination, but I believe it was Joan letting me know she approves. I figured something out at 80 years old. Real family is who you choose, and who chooses you back. It's not about blood. It's about love. Not about obligation. It's about wanting to be together. Grace doesn't love me because she has to. She loves me because she chose to, and I chose her as my daughter because she earned it. And you listening to this right now, have you thought about who really deserves your trust? Who are the people who stayed when everyone else walked away? Sometimes we keep waiting for love from people who'll never give it, while we ignore the ones right next to us offering the real thing. Don't wait until you're old to figure this out. Don't make the mistake I almost made of missing true love when it's standing right in front of you. Tell me in the comments, who would you choose as your real family? Because everyone's got a Grace in their life somewhere. You just need the courage to see it. I'm Harold Peterson. I'm 80 years old, and this is my story. The story of how I learned that life's greatest treasure isn't the 3 million in my bank account. It's having someone who truly cares about you. And now every morning when Grace walks into my room with a smile and says, "How'd you sleep, Dad?" I know I made the right choice. Real family is someone who calls you Dad with their heart, not just their mouth.